Welcome back to Grit Gym. We're coming to you every day at 12:30. Every day at 12:30, we're coming on here every weekday at 12:30 to talk about your health, your exercise, mindset, nutrition, and your recovery. Recovery is a big portion of this that a lot of people like to leave out. The nice thing is, recovery is where all the magic happens. You want to get used to the ideas around recovery. We've talked about recovery a lot. You have to have the mindset in the health game too. You can't just leave out mindset. You got a shit attitude, you're going to have a shit life, I guarantee you. Nutrition and exercise don't get to work opposite of each other. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to focus on nutrition or, oh, I'm just going to focus on exercise. You got to have both. I don't care if you're going for a world championship powerlifting meet or you're trying to lose 30 pounds. You got to have both. Health requires a full, whether you're going for performance, you're going for health, you're going for the life that you want to live, right? You're going for that life that you want to live. Not that somebody else wants you to live, not that the status quo of the world tells you that you should live. I'm talking about the life that you want to live. This show, when we really get down to the nuts and bolts of it, is about you. It's about giving you some strategies on how you can inspire the experience that you want to live in your own life. Okay? The life that you want to live is different than the life I want to live. I guarantee you. It's different than everybody else's in the world. You are unique. This idea that everybody's the same being a good thing. No, it's not. Everybody's a little bit different, okay? We all have way more intercommonalities than we do external differences. But everybody is just a little bit different. Everybody has their unique flair. Everybody has their goals, their wishes, their desires, their dreams, and you got to seek after yours. It's the most selfish thing in the world to not go after your dreams. But if you're just coming in, please take the time, share this out. Today we're talking about lift like a girl. Okay, what is this about? Because I wore this shirt. Yeah, it's not clean. That's okay. It's not even smelly. But I wore this shirt, the Lift Like a Girl shirt, on the trip. On the back, we have the 3 big components of being successful. You work hard for improvement every day. You focus on the present priority, and you be a positive influence. You do those things, you're going to be successful in anything. Guarantee it. Okay, so what's the Lift Like a Girl deal? People are asking me, what's the Lift Like a Girl? What's Lift Like a Girl? What's Lift Like a Girl? And I think that there's like a big disconnect, okay? I think there's a big disconnect that girls can't be strong, that they shouldn't be strong, that the thing is, you've been filled with all kinds of not weird, they're normal, status quo BS bullshit nonsense that nobody even filled with just garbage information. Lift Like a Girl is about this idea that girls can be strong and should be strong. Okay? That girls can be strong and should be strong. The strength game just isn't for macho dudes trying to get big. Everybody should be strong. And for the people out there that are like, I don't need to be big and strong, well, how's being weak feel? How's not being able to live your life your way? How's not being able to pick up your kids the way that you want to pick up your kids? How's not being able to take them on in a sport? How's not being able to carry your groceries into your house? What's going to happen when you're 85 years old and your body starts to go downhill? The more we get now, the more we can keep later. Strength changes the entire game. Okay, girls deserve a spot in the weight room. There's all this macho bullshit that happens in the weight room where guys kind of like get, all like irked up and kind of like intimidate females out of their space. It's really too bad because there is a mountain of really beneficial stuff that they can get from being in that lifter space. Lift Like a Girl is about getting girls to actually lift. Lifting is a very, very, very good thing. I'm going to list out some of the stuff that you've been filled with that is just absolutely not true. And the deal is, I think a lot of people think that it kind of like the pregnancy thing. It's like, oh, you should just lay around and not do anything your whole pregnancy, and you should get big and fat because that's what your baby wants you to do. It's such horseshit. It's bogus information. It's status quo, what the status quo is trying to teach you. Lift Like a Girl is a movement against the status quo to break it down and show the world what can actually be a benefit from being strong, being a very strong female, not just strong mentally, because they are. And to all the people out there that don't think that a woman can be strong, you haven't been around the women in my life. I'll tell you that. You have not been around the women in my life if you think that a woman cannot be physically and mentally powerful, physically and mentally strong. Okay, you have not been around. You've not been around my mom, for one. That's the one I was going for. You've not been around Janet. Okay, Janet is a pretty interesting lady. I've worked with professional athletes. I've worked with D1 athletes. I've worked with a lot of different people that you would say are super hard workers. Janet trumps all of them. She puts all of them in the dirt. okay? Every D1 and professional level athlete that I've ever worked with would just get trucked by her. But let's get into it. Let's get into some of these things. If you have questions along the way, and if you have things that you've heard from people trying to talk you out of lifting, or the naysayer type stuff, or the status quo type stuff, if I haven't listed one in here, just even if I don't, just write it down below. But what about, so there's a few of them. You hear them all, like usually I hear them when I'm trying to tell females, trying to educate females when I'm like in front of a group of females and I'm talking about strength, and they're like, they have all these concerns, right? All these objections, like, and all these fears that are coming out of them. One of the biggest ones is, what if I get big and bulky? Okay? This would be like worrying that you're going to become a NASCAR driver if you drive a car. Okay? It's not something that just happens just super easy. Okay? Like for instance, I'm a male, I'm a mesomorph. I put on muscle fairly easily. I have lifted consistently for the last 20 years. I don't think you would show up at your gym and be like, he's a muscle-bound dude, he's big and he's bulky, and I don't think most females would probably want to be as big as I am. However, I don't think that I'm so massive that you would say that it looks ridiculous. You would have to work out. I mean, you would just have to work. You would have to get help. You would have to get help from drugs. You would have to get help from a nutrition standpoint. You would have to put down so much protein and so many calories. You would have to work an extreme level, and you would probably have to sleep for about half of the day just to pull off looking even slightly close to what you consider big and bulky. It is just not bound to happen. Your hormones aren't set up that way. It is just not bound to happen. But number two, your body isn't built for it. This is the most ridiculous thing I think I've probably ever heard. The thing is, the reasoning behind this is that women tend to be a little bit more on the unstable side in their joints. So they have a little bit more recurvatum to their knee. That just means that the knee hyperextends a little bit. They have a little bit more valgus because their hips are typically wider because because of biology. You know, males don't carry babies, so our hips are more narrow. And a baby's got to come out of that thing, so you probably do want wide hips. But so there's a little bit more valgus because the hip is wider, and so the knee comes in to stabilize everything out. And there's a little bit more laxity in the joint, meaning that the joint is just a little bit more flexible, a little bit more. So the theory or the concern is that because of this you shouldn't lift. It's the absolute opposite of that. That's every reason to be strong. If you have more laxity, you need tons of stability to put up with that amount of laxity. If you have no stability in that joint, you need tons and tons and tons of strength. It is the opposite of what all those things are saying. It makes all other things better, including pregnancy. Strength makes everything better in the female body. It makes everything better in the male body too. From our hormones, from our mind, from our heart to our everything. Everything is improved by strength training, including your ability to deliver a baby. Okay, this is one of the big things, is like, oh, you're pregnant, you shouldn't lift. That is the most bogus statement. You should definitely lift if you are pregnant. You want to be in shape going into that delivery. Like, I would not, if I'm pregnant or Rachel's pregnant, which is not, I got a little sick there, we're walking into that hospital, I would want her or me or whoever it is that is pregnant, I would want them to be in really good shape to be able to deliver that baby. You think that baby's going to come out easier or have a harder time? You think that birth is going to go better or worse if she is in really good shape to deliver that baby? Duh. All right, what about you'll look like a guy? That's one of the other ones that I hear. You do not have the hormones to look like a male. And about 1% of the population will actually be able to produce the amount of muscle that most girls would consider bad. I don't know why that's bad. But even then, you're going for like almost every female comes in and says, I want to be toned. I want that nice, long, lean, toned look. Well, if you want that nice, long, lean, toned look, you have to put on a decent layer of muscle tissue underneath the skin. Okay? Think of that for a little bit. If you're scared of gaining a little bit of muscle, that's going to stop you from being able to gain the tone that you wish to achieve. You want that little bit of muscle gain. Okay? You want that muscle gain. You want that dense tissue underneath the skin. Okay? So three things actually end up happening here when you go for that tone. One, you lay down a little bit of muscle tissue. Okay? very good thing. However, that muscle is metabolic, and if you're focusing on your nutrition, you lose a little bit of fat, you're going to, again, be able to show more of that muscle or that tone underneath the skin. Number 3 thing that happens is your skin actually pulls tighter towards your muscle because certain hormones end up increasing in your body, which causes that effect. So you end up, when your skin gets pulled tighter, it's like a natural facelift. You just end up looking younger. Okay, your skin tightens down to the muscle a little bit. This is a good thing. Okay, this is actually caused by your human growth hormone, which sounds scary. Don't get scared of that. It's a very good thing. It's a huge fat burner. We want that human growth hormone going up. We get that by doing strength training. We get that by doing alactic and glycolytic training, which is just intervals, circuit training, metabolic resistance training, much like we do at Grit Gym with the metabolic workouts. So if you don't want to look like a guy, but you want that tone, you have to lay down some muscle tissue. You have to do strength training. It's extremely important to get all of these. Okay. What about this is another one that I hear on a regular basis, but I just got a message that scrolled down, but yoga Pilates is enough, right? And I never have really found a good way to respond to this one without sounding like a jerk, but yoga and Pilates, it's kind of like the chiropractor of the exercise world. 10% of it, genius. It's great. It's wonderful. I use a lot of their stuff. I use a lot of like the Pilates and yoga moves and sort of things. Because basically all I'm doing is I'm taking the best pieces of all the best strategies and I'm using them at Grit Gym. So yeah, I'm going to take from what I've learned, all the good stuff that I've learned from yoga, and I'm going to deny all the bad stuff, right? But yoga and Pilates is not enough. 10% of it is great. You can get 10% of it in about 5 minutes. Probably less on a daily basis. You need that additional strength training. Okay? You don't need to stretch more with yoga. You don't need to do moves that were made up by a guy who couldn't walk. Pilates is good for people who can't get up off the ground. You are a moving being. You move around. You have 2 arms, 2 legs, and you can move around. So we need to train that way. To a certain degree, we need to be on the ground too. A lot of those moves are very good, but 10% of it is great. 90% of it is a complete waste of time. And actually, like, since I was on the chiropractor deal, I would say that chiropractor is much more than that. It is like 1% is genius and 99% of it's total garbage. But is yoga and Pilates enough? No. It is a great start. It really is. It's a great start. If that's where you started, awesome. I'm not going to take that away from you. I'm not going to say, no, don't do yoga and Pilates. I'm going to say we need more, though. We need speed. We need power. We need strength. We need those 3 things. Those are not three things that we can walk away from, which I get really in depth with this in the book, in the Cost of Courage, in the exercise chapter. Probably get a little too in depth with it. We'll see when people read it, but I get really into that. But Lift Like a Girl is not about going to yoga and Pilates. Yoga and Pilates is very status quo. It's marketing extraordinaires that have done an excellent job, but they've also filled you with this nonsense that it almost sounds like it could cure cancer. And it's not that great. 10% of it, great. 90% of it is a complete waste of time. And, well, maybe 80% of it is a complete waste of time. And then another 10% of it is downright dangerous. Those are not scientific numbers. I just came up with those if you can imagine that. All right, what about jogging? Is jogging better than strength training? Because I hear this a lot, like jogging is better than strength training. No, it's not. How is jogging better than strength training? The deal is, when you jog, most of us are going to put somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 steps per mile that we jog. If we jog for 5 miles every day, we're going to accumulate a lot of stress in the same movement pattern over and over and over and over again. We didn't gain strength. We might have gotten some cardiovascular health out of this, sure, but your body holds on to your endurance capacity extremely well. You don't need to train this very often. You do not need the mountains of volume that you would think that the cardio world is kind of trying to jab down your throat. You don't need to jog. 1 day a week of some type of cardio activity is perfectly fine, and you probably want to get that from something that's fun, like going dancing with your significant other, or I don't know, going for a hike, or going to do something fun is going to be much more enjoyable than riding it out on a bike on a Sunday night, like which is what I do on a pretty regular basis for mine. But jogging is not better. Jogging, actually, when you do all of those repetitions, Your body doesn't really know what to do with that. It's not getting strength, but it's got to have some form of protection around the joint. What's it going to do? The body doesn't just give you strength for not if you didn't give you that stimulus. What it's going to do, it's going to go for something a lot easier because your body's smarter than we are. So it gives you a ton of stiffness. Lifters are not stiff, and I'm going to get into that in the next point, but the point of is jogging better? No, because you don't jog to get into shape. You get into shape in order to jog. It's backwards. It's backwards think. Okay? We don't get strong. We get strong in order to be a better jogger. We don't jog in order to get stronger. It doesn't work backwards. It's the status quo has you all messed up. Okay? We want to think about this backwards. Jogging is not better. Jogging is actually worse. Jogging is still good. Just do it one day. Back it off to 1 day a week. So 1 day a week, jogging or cycling or some kind of endurance capacity. 2 days, depending on what you're doing, 2 to 3 days per week of some kind of metabolic circuit, or one to three days per week of some kind of metabolic circuit, and then 2 to 4, geez, I'm messing up my numbers, 2 to 4 lifts, getting strong, okay? You need those in your day. You need those in your day. And I don't care if you're going for fat loss or you're going for performance, those numbers will work. Those numbers will be successful. You will have a good time off of that. Jogging is not better. You do not want to jog. What about losing your flexibility, being muscle bound, or how this idea that these big dudes or these lifters get really stiff? This is a misconception. You actually don't get stiff. Your body does not build stiffness when it is strong. It builds stiffness when it goes through repetition after repetition after repetition without the strength there. That's when it builds stiffness. If you take 1,000 lifters and you take 1,000 joggers and you put them under studies, you will find the jogging group has less stability and more stiffness in their body, drastically more stiffness and drastically less stability than the lifter. The lifter will have more stability, more movement, more mobility. Everything will be better in the lifter, even if they didn't lift very well. Hey, I see this happen. I go to these seminars every once in a while. I go to these seminars all the time. Someone will get pulled up. They'll pull up a jogger and they'll pull up a lifter. And you will think even in my mind, I'm looking at it and I'm like, the jogger is a skinny little girl. The lifter, is, at these things, like, it's usually very serious lifters, so they've been lifting for a long time. And you can tell that they lift, but they don't look massive. They look good. The skinny girl looks unhealthy. The jogger looks unhealthy. Looks very not healthy. The lifter looks great. The lifter looks strong. It doesn't look bulky. The lifter looks healthy. Anyway, they'll go through patterning. Okay? They'll go through stretches, or they'll go through movement patterns, whatever it is. The jogger will always be worse. The jogger will not be able to do the things that the lifter can do. Isn't that amazing? We think of it as it's going to be the opposite. We think, oh, the skinny little girl, she can probably put her foot behind her head. She's probably really flexible. It's the opposite. The lifter will almost always, especially if we have 1,000 and 1,000, we can take an average. If we have 1,000 and 1,000, the lifter will have more mobility, will have more strength, will have more stability, will have better movement patterns, will have better everything. They will look healthier, they will be healthier, they will have a more vibrance, their skin will look better, they'll look younger, they will be better off. Okay, the lifter is always better off than the runner. You will not lose your flexibility by lifting. You do not lift flexibility. You do not build stiffness in the presence of strength. What would be the point? The reason that your body builds stiffness is because you didn't have the stability to hold the joint in place. Stiffness is just your body looking for stability. You do not lose that when you get strong. When you get strong, you don't need the stiffness, so your body gets rid of it. It's still something we want to work on and continue to get stronger and stronger and build more stability. But it gets rid of stiffness when we don't need it. Actually, if you look at, even if you go, you can actually look this up. Go online and look up. I don't know what you'd put into Google, but if you look at the Olympians, who do you think the most flexible, most mobile group are in the Olympics? Is it the swimmers, the dancers, the gymnasts, sprinters, lifters? Who is it? Most people will say it's the dancers or the gymnasts. It's not even close. Then they'll say the sprinters. It's definitely not even close. How your body sprints is actually the better the sprinter, the better relationship they have between relaxation and building stiffness at the point of slamming that foot into the ground. It is the lifters. The lifters are always the most flexible. Now, there's the chicken or the egg scenario here. Are they better at lifting because they are that flexible, or are they that flexible because they're better at lifting? It's both. But the point is, you do not lose your flexibility because you lift. You do not lose your flexibility because you lift. What if it's bad for your knees? This is the big scary one, right? You've got the valgus in your knees, so your knees cave in a little bit. You've got the recurvatum, so your knees kind of hyperextend a little bit. Both of those are extremely normal. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with this inherently. We probably want to work on it a little bit, but there's nothing wrong with this. The idea that lifting, though, is bad for your knees. It's the other way around. If you have this recurvatum and you have this weakness and you have this instability and you have this valgus, you need to get strong. You have to get strong in order to overcome these things, okay? Bad knees because of lifting, that's bogus. That's false. The worst thing that you can do for a bad knee is stay weak, okay? Being weak is bad for your knees. Not strength training is bad for your knees. Strength training is good for your knees. Being weak is bad for your knees, period. Okay? The worst thing you can do for your knees is be weak. You got to get strong. Okay? The stronger that butt is, the stronger that hamstring is, those are your big stabilizers of your knee as far as muscles go. You want those suckers strong as hell. Okay? The stronger they are, the better your knee is going to be. What do you think deadlifts do? Butt hamstrings. What do you think squats do? Butt hamstrings and quads, obviously. But we need that. We need that. And maybe your knees have 40 years of just getting the crap kicked out of them, and you're missing all your cartilage. We have to be appropriate, obviously. But for the most part, across the board, this idea that lifting is bad for your knees if you have bad knees or if you don't have bad knees is totally bogus. The worst thing that you can do for your knees is to be weak. What are some of my other ones? It's not a big deal to be strong. I love that one. I love that one. It's not a big deal to be strong, Adam. What's the point? Like, why are these lift like a girl? Why are you always preaching about strength? How's being weak doing for you? How do you feel being weak? How's being weak? How's your physically being weak going in your life? Can you do all the things that you want to do? Can you? Yeah, and plus, you don't even know what it's like to be powerful, to be strong, to be fast. You know what it feels like to just bounce up a flight of stairs? I've been both. Believe me, I've been both. When I did my foot, I shut down. When I couldn't walk for a year. And what didn't click off in my mind, I tried to keep up and train my arms and train my upper body and train my other leg. It's mentally very difficult to do that. I lost the ability to run up a flight of stairs. Most people don't know what that's like. Most people don't know what it's like to not walk. Talk to Mark Harris out at Grit Gym sometime. The guy has MS. He can't use one of his legs. He's got 3 little kids. You listen to him, this is what he says. He says, if I could go back, I would run everywhere that I go. He'd use it. You are taking something for granted. Being weak is taking your body for granted. Your body wants to be strong, and you are denying it of that. The talk we did the other day about not taking care of your health is the most selfish thing on earth. It is. It is. It's robbing you of your experience, and it's robbing everybody around you of their experience with you. Okay? It's terrible that this is happening, but this is what's going on. You have to take responsibility for your life. You have to get strong. But talking about something that you don't know anything about, which is what I was going to go into next, I kind of jumped the gun. But why, like, when people want to challenge me on the strength thing, it's like, who do you think you are to be able to tell me about this? And that's not like a victim thing. Like why do you think that you don't know what you're talking about? You've never been strong. You've never been fast. You've never been powerful. You've never tried to be that way. You've never studied this stuff. You don't understand it. You've been filled full of garbage, like all this other stuff. You've been told you got to jog 5 miles a day. You got to eat your Wheaties. No, you don't. No, you don't. If you've never had it and you don't know anything about it, and you don't know how to get it, and you're still stuck in the status quo nonsense, then you don't get to tell anybody about it. Okay? That's not it's all right if you want to tell me your opinions on it, or if people want to tell me their opinions about it, I'll sit there and listen. But you don't, like, at some point, it's not helping anybody for you to be weak. It's not helping anybody for anybody to be weak. Being strong is extremely important, but you'll get bulky if you lift. Females, you'll get bulky if you lift. Total bogus statement. Total bogus statement. You didn't turn into a NASCAR driver when you learned how to drive. Same thing with strength training. It would take, what about your body isn't built for it? Yes it is. Madison just ripped off 10, I think it was actually 12 reps at 315, and she had one plate elevated. That's still a ton of weight, and that's still her being super strong. That's a really good thing. Her body is going to appreciate that in about a week. It's going to take about a week to recover from that, and then her body's going to appreciate it. But your bodies are built to be strong. There's no way that you're not built to be strong. You'll look like a guy. You do not have the hormones to do this, and if you're going for that toned look, you have to lay down a certain amount of muscle tissue underneath the skin. You have to drop a little bit of fat content, and you have to lift to drive your hormones to a level that is going to sink. They're going to squeeze that skin down to the muscle, which gives you a kind of a younger look. Okay, yoga and Pilates is not enough. Anybody telling you that is total bogus. Like 10% of yoga and Pilates, absolutely brilliant. 90% of it complete, or about 80% of it complete waste of time. Another 10% of it super dangerous. And you would not want that going off in your spine or some of your other joints. Jogging is better? No, it's not. Jogging really isn't even all that good. You would only want to jog 1 day a week if you do jogging. There is just, you don't get in shape. You don't jog to get in shape. You do get in shape in order to jog. It's the other way around. It's one of those status quo things. It's poor think. You'll lose all your flexibility. Your body does not build stiffness in the presence of strength. If you are strong, your body doesn't need the stiffness. You build stiffness because you don't have the stability or you don't have the strength. Getting strong is a very good thing. You will not lose your flexibility by getting stronger. Joggers get stiff. Lifters do not get stiff. Okay? Bad for your knees? No, that's false. Being weak is bad for your knees. Being strong is good for your knees. It's not bad for your knees to lift. Jogging would actually be much worse for your knees. That constant repetition, remember, 1,500 to 2,000 steps per mile. That's a lot of accumulation of stress. Okay? And we're the last two. It's not a big deal to be strong. Yeah, it is. It's tearing away from the experience of your life. And if you want to have a great life, you want to have an incredible life, you're going to have to get strong. It's just how it goes. Okay? And you're going to have to get strong over the course of your entire body, your feet, your hands, your upper body, your lower body, your core. Everything's got to be strong. It's got to work in conjunction with itself. And if you've never had it, you don't even know what it's like anyway. You don't know what it's like. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's awesome. You want this. Everything improves. Everything improves. Your life improves. Your body improves. The way that you even look at your body improves. Like how you see yourself improves, how the other people around you improves, your relationships improve. You know, when you're in really good shape, are you going to have better or worse sex with your spouse? Duh. Okay? Everything improves. Okay? That's what Lift Like a Girl is like. Lift Like a Girl is trying to break down this status quo idea that girls cannot lift, and it's total bullshit. Girls should lift. They can be strong. They are strong. We got to put down this idea. I really would like this to just become a huge movement. If you want one of these shirts, you want to support this this movement, you want to really push this, you want to spread this around town in your local area, you want to stand up for what girls can do, go on the website, onto the store, grab your shirt, come into Grit Gym, even better. Come into Grit Gym, meet me is even better, okay? I want you wearing one of these shirts. But anyway, Lift Like a Girl is a big, big movement that we want to push as hard as we possibly can because girls can be strong. They should be strong. And the only thing holding them back is this mindset that all this bad shit is going to happen. When really, in reality, a ton of good stuff is going to go down when they start strength training. All right, guys. Tomorrow, 12:30. What's tomorrow? Friday? Friday is always a fun one. I like Fridays. Anyway, tomorrow, I think we have somebody on the show. I think we have an interview. Anyway, thanks, guys, for being here. 12:30 tomorrow. I will see you then.